up on YouTube tonight.
Welcome back to the Plays with Cars YouTube channel and another episode of Project Time Trial, where we are taking our 986 Porsche Boxster S that was previously an autocross car and getting it ready for time trial competition, which is time attack style on a big track. So our first event is in 6 days now of this filming, and last episode we had put the tires on the car, 200 tread wear in the correct size to make sure we were ready for the class. And now we're taking care of some maintenance beforehand. So notice we had a little bit low voltage on the battery, so we've got that hooked up to the battery charger. Poor thing's been sitting around all winter, and we are also, as you can see, have it up on the ramps because we are going to do an oil change to the back and check out everything in the back end of the car as far as fluids and bolts and things like that. Remember, we have to check the bolts for the passenger side CV axle because they like to come loose. So we'll check all that, check the shift linkage, change the oil, and once we're all done with the back, we're going to flip it around and jack the nose up and put our brand new brakes on. Alright, so there you see our shift linkage. We lubed that all up real good and made sure everything was looking good there. And there you can see the bolts on our CV axle, the axle shaft to the output on the transaxle, and you can see those are all nice and tight, still looking good. Only item of concern we have down here is a little bit of grease coming out of the outer CVs, so might have to address that sooner or later. These are fairly new CV axles. I put them on when I bought the car a couple of years ago now, but still not that many miles. But we've successfully completed the oil change and filter. You can see I made an unholy mess of everything as usual. But everything under here is actually looking really, really good. So we're going to come out of the bottom and turn the car around and do the other side. Okay, so we've got the first side apart here. We've got our 4-piston caliper here. This is a fixed caliper, so the whole caliper stays put and the pistons move on either side. Most cheap calipers, they'll have pistons on one side and the other side is blank, and it slides on these sliding pins, and the whole body slides back and forth when you apply the pressure, and those don't stand up to track use. They're just cheap. This is what you want, so this is a good 4-piston setup. Got those out. These are our old pads here, the Hawk HP 800s, the street race. Cannot recommend these. These are terrible pads. They stop really well, but man, they destroy everything. They dust really, really, really bad and score and light on fire basically, and destroyed our wheels and everything, and really just made a mess of everything. So we're done with those. These rotors are ruined. We got to pop these screws out, take those out, and then put in our new ones here. We got these ATE rotors here. Nice OE rotor to put on with our new pads, which we are going with the Stop Tech Sports. I've run these on a couple of cars. I really, really like these. I think these are a great combination of ability to autocross and track without dusting the crap out of everything and being really gnarly on the street. And we are getting there. So passenger side is all done. We've got the new rotor in place. You can see here the caliper all cleaned up, new pads and all the hardware installed. Everything is ready to go. We have our bleeder screws ready. Once we get the other side done, then we can bleed both sides and put the wheels back on, button everything up, torque down our lug nuts, and go for a test drive and see how everything's doing. But so far so good on getting everything taken care of, and you can see the massive difference here between what this looks like all cleaned up and the mess we've got going on over here when we start. This is what we're starting with, all the brake dust and garbage in here, and look at the lip on that rotor. I mean, that is so far beyond gone, so definitely needed to do this to be ready for the time trial. So we're going to get cracking on this side and then catch back up with you. Alright, so we got our new rotor on, we got our caliper back on, and these are the pads. On a fixed caliper, the pads just slide in and out like that. You can see here on the back we've put on some high temp brake grease to keep the metal on metal squealing down. But you've got this retainer clip here And then this pin is what holds everything together. So this pin inserts in from the back like this. There we go. You have to push that down. And voila! Once it's in, there's a hole right in here you have to get to put the cotter pin in. It keeps it from backing back out. You can turn it with some pliers here until you see that hole right there. See the hole? Put this safety pin in. In order to keep the pin from the retaining pin from backing back out. So alright, so now you can see if this tries to back out, that retainer pin keeps it from sliding out. And so that's it. This whole thing is what holds all the brake pads in on a fixed caliper, but it makes it super easy to change pads at the track and super easy to service them. Our big thing was just to get everything apart and get it cleaned up and change these rotors. Alright, so the brakes are on, all new rotors and pads, and when you have to crack the calipers like that in order to get the pads in, it introduces air into the system. So we had to bleed the brakes. And also part of bleeding the brakes, we've tried to push all the old fluid through. We've got this Type 200 racing brake fluid from ATE, so we managed to flush through until we got nice clean brake fluid out of the calipers. So that's it, we're done. We're going to clean up all the mess that we made with everything and put the wheels and tires back on, torque them down, and take this thing out on a test drive. So I think that's going to do it for this episode of Project Time Trial. We managed to get the oil changed, lubricated the shift cable linkages, double checked the tightness in all of our CV axle bolts, and everything else in the back looked great. We changed our front pads and rotors, bled our brake fluid, and yeah, we're just going to button everything up, take it on a test drive, come back, torque everything again, check all the fluid levels, and we'll keep doing what we can do to the car. But as of right now, we're pretty much ready to go for the first event in 6 days. Everything from here on out is icing on the cake. So until next time, that's been the Plays with Cars YouTube channel, another episode of Project Time Trial.